So welcome back to another build. This time we're going to build another car, of course. We got a lot of parts here. We got well, let's start with the basics. The most important part is, of course, the brain, the Arduino. We're going to use this all the time for projects like this. We also have the next great important part, Bluetooth controller. This is HC06. Well, technically some of these are HC05s, but the one we're going to use particularly for this project is HC06. Now, if we get one of these out, they have 4 pins, like this one, no, that's 5. This one right here. It's pretty simple to use. I'll hopefully give a short guide on that. So, Bluetooth, Arduino, we're going to have a motor controller here. This will control the motor's forward and backwards direction as well as speed, although I won't program that in the code you're going to use. You can figure that out yourself. This is a geared up motor, which will be nice and useful because as we could do gears ourselves like I've done in a previous video, but this is simpler to use for beginners. So we're also going to use these nice wheels that just pop right on. You can find them on Amazon. They're pretty easy to find. Or you type in like Arduino geared up motor, and the wheels should be pretty easy to find from that as well. We're also going to use a servo. I might use a different servo in the actual build because I have some newer, nicer ones, but any small 5-volt servo should work, so it doesn't have to be anything special. Of course, we got the coding wire for the Arduino and a barrel cable to power this. You only really need a 9-volt for this project, so like barrel clip goes into Arduino. Nice little powered on when you get it working. We also have some wires right here. Pointy end wires, of course. Double pointy end. You also have pointy end and non-pointy end, which I know aren't the names, but they're more fun to say. And of course, we're going to use this power rail from a breadboard here because we don't need the breadboard itself, and that's just more weight, so, keep it simple. And with that, I think we're about ready for the build. And we're back after printing some things. Now, I'm going to show you mostly how to put this together. Let me go ahead and unplug that. This board, I kind of already glued this on because I thought that would be long enough. It was too short. Now I'll have an updated file if you use this exact design, so that won't be a problem. But yeah, it's just a little bit of hot glue. It kind of acts like a shock, so it's actually probably fine. But it should work great for what we're doing. Now the reason why I print things like this for small, little, simple projects like this is because I can kind of open this up and shove wires through like I did here. So you can run wires through these by just stretching them out a little bit. Don't push too hard or else you'll break it, but cool. It works great because then you can just run wires up or down or whatever have you without having to drill a hole. So it's pretty useful for that for prototyping. Now if I actually did a final design, I'd make it way more fancy than this, but this isn't a final design. This is a prototype. So we got this up here and it's good for learning. So this is great. So these two wires are going to a motor. So I guess we'll start with hooking up the motor controller or something, right? So these two go to a motor controller. So the motor controller right here has a bunch of words. You're looking for mostly output 1 and 2 here, so out 1 and out 2. This is going to be your first motor. So this controls motor 1 on this, L298N motor controller. And then you have out 3 and 4 on this side. Out 3 and 4 control a second motor, which we're not using for my design. I'm only using 1 motor, although you could use 2. If you do use 2, you want the left and right separate. You actually have to use 4, right? Yeah, no, you could use 2. We want the left and right separate, the left and right. That way you can be able to turn, but don't worry about it. We're just going to use 1. So for this, it's going to be a lot simpler to wire, actually. You just hook up this to out 1 and 2. Doesn't matter the color of the wire for now, although that will affect forward and reverse. You want the red one to out 1, so it's normally going forward. You want the black one to out 2 with my code, so it's normally going in reverse. If you reverse those, it will go in reverse when you hit forward and forward when you hit reverse, but it's fine otherwise. So you can do that. Once you have that done, you're going to hot glue that down later. It's going to be great. You can find room for it however you want later. But yeah, so that's the motor controller hooked up to the motor. Now this motor controller also needs power, which we'll get to. It also needs to be controlled by the Arduino. So let's go to the Arduino next. Brains of this entire operation. So let's get the Arduino hooked up because that's where everything else is going to connect at some point. So Arduino, because we're going to need multiple 5-volt controlled parts in this, I'm going to use the power rail for that. So I can have more than one 5-volt pin. Because if you look at the Arduino right now, technically, you guys might have even these extra pins that I'm not going to use. Because technically, there's more 5-volt pins like right there on these fancier boards. But if that doesn't exist, you only have one 5-volt pin because you have a traditional Arduino, you can do is use a power rail and extend that. Although it's splitting the current, but don't worry about that. Overcomplicating things. So 5 volts, ground, ground. You can use whatever wire color you want just to make sure you're consistent. In this case, I'm using white for positive and black for negative. Traditionally, it's red and black. So we got that over there. So if I ever want 5 volts, instead of hooking it up to this pin, which is being used now, I hook it up to this. All of this red is going to be 5 volts. All this blue will be ground, or, you know, where the negative side of whatever part you're using goes to. So from that, I'm next going to hook up the next important part, the HC06. So the HC06, if you look on the back, it says VCC, ground, TX, and RX. Technically, D's, but whatever. VCC is the voltage, the positive voltage. So you want this to go to 5 volts or 3.3 volts, depending on your Bluetooth. I know mine takes 5 volts, so I'm going to put it on 5 volts. Ground is the green wire. By the way, my positive wire is blue for this, which again, you could use red if that makes you more comfortable. If you have more red wires, I do not. So green is ground in this case. So ground goes negative on this because, you know, remember I expanded this, so this entire row was negative. Column is negative. This entire column is positive. So I can move this wire to wherever I want, and it, you know, it's fine. It's getting the same exact results. And this is a little bit tricky. To get an HC06 to work, first, I'm going to hook it up, but later we're going to unhook TX and RX because you can't upload code with the current code I have set up, although we could change. It's fine. Let's say you can't upload code with these hooked up, but for now, I'm going to show you where they go. So TX is actually going to go to RX, and RX is going to go to TX. So in this case, my TX pin is yellow. So yellow TX goes to RX. So RX on the board is right there. So RX, yellow, great. The RX pin goes to TX, so that would be this orange. Orange goes to TX, done. There we go. Now we have the HC06 hooked up. You can even see if it gets power right now and see if you messed up because, you know, why not? It could be bad if it's messed up. Grab that cord real quick. There it is. Grab this cord right here, put it on, and slap in the battery. Okay, so we got Bluetooth. Great. It's blinking. It's not catching on fire. We know Bluetooth works. Good. Also, you might want to check this as you build it. Whenever you're going back to building, I recommend unplugging the battery so you don't short something. Next step. We got we got that hooked up. So let's hook up the motor controller to the board now, right? So this is the motor controller again. This is the Arduino board. This motor controller has some other pins to be able to control. Right now we have a motor hooked up to it, but the motor doesn't know what to do because you're not telling it what to do. To that, you got to hook it up to Arduino, right? Arduino, let's grab 2 wires. In this case, you're going to want non-pointy end and pointy end wires. So I'll grab 2 of those. That's double pointy end. There we go. So I've got a yellow wire and a red wire. My red wire, I'm going to hook up to here. If you look closely at the board, which I don't know if you can both see from here, it's kind of hard to focus that. But there's a thing right there that says ENA right there. That means that you want this pin and this pin, not these two. So you want these first 2 pins closest to ENA. So I put a wire there. On that first pin, I put a wire there on the second pin. The first wire is going to hook up to 5. The second wire is going to hook up to 6 for my code. So if you look on this Arduino, you look closely, you see 5 and 6. So you want to hook up the first wire to 5 and the second wire to 6. So if I'm looking, that's 5. You can tell because it is the top one there before the gap is 7. So then it goes 6. So this one's 5. This one, yellow wire again, hooks up to 6. So we're going to hook it up to 6. Great. Then we got the motor controller hooked up. But there's still a problem. This motor controller doesn't have power, right? It actually takes additional voltage to run. So if we're looking at this, it's going to be hard to see on this side, so I flipped it over. So this is a 12-volt pin, that's a ground, that's a 5-volt pin. Now you want to use a 12-volt pin because we're using 9 volts. I'm going to split it. So we want a power cord going in from here to the board, and you want a negative cord going from here to the negative side of the board. And by the board, I mean the power rail. So this thing right here, right? Now, even though we're using 5-volt pin from the board, you don't want to use this 5-volt pin because of how it gets, I'm pretty sure, rectified or regulated by a voltage regulator. It actually loses voltage and can't power the motor. So let's grab 2 cords. So I'm going to use these two, nice and short. Red is going to be power, brown is going to be ground in this case. So I'm going to plug them in. This one's 12 volts, that one is ground, so we're going to stabify them in. Once you have them stabified, you just grab your little screwdriver here and tighten it up. Now you don't want to over tighten these because then they'll pop right out and they'll be sad. Just tighten enough. So again, red's positive, so it goes to the red part of the board. Let's put it up more. So red's positive, so it goes with these positive rails. And the brown's negative, so it's going to go right beside in the negative rails by the blue. There we go. So brown negative, red positive, cool. Now we have the motor control hooked up, which one of the pins came unplugged. Maybe I should use a longer wire. Yeah, let me find a longer wire real fast. I'll grab you. So we'll use, instead of red, we'll use blue, because that wire's a little short. So this wire. All I'm doing is replacing this red wire that's hooked up to 5 with a blue wire, because this blue wire is longer. So it quits popping out of the board. There we go. Okay, so we got motor controller, power rail, board, motor, hooked up. Great. So now we can test something simple real fast. Let's see if it works, right? Always test if something works when you hook it up. So we plug this in. Nothing's on fire. That's a good sign. Next, we grab a nice little Bluetooth. Ooh, that's interesting. See. Yeah. Okay. Since the wires popped out, the Bluetooth wasn't working. I was confused for a second. You're going to get your Bluetooth app open. Once you have a Bluetooth app, you're going to go to Gamepad. I already programmed mine. I showed in a different video, which I should link. In this case, this chip, I believe, is called Gold Leader, so let's connect to it. Once you're connected, the light should turn solid like before. Now, yeah, it works. So, you know. So if I have this case where, in my case, this is going to be forward, right? Reverse is going forward, and forward's going to reverse. You can swap the control wires. So instead of having red on 5, in this case blue, because I swapped it, and yellow on 6, you just flip-flop the wires. So you just flip-flop these 2 wires right here. So switch 5 and 6. And now forward should go forward, and reverse should go in reverse. Great. So we have it controlled. That's good. That's good. So now we got the motors working for the motor controller, the power rail hooked up to the board, and the Bluetooth hooked up to the board as well. So we're good. So now we need steering though, right? Because it only goes forward and reverse right now. Which is cool. I mean, like, right here, you're going to just have a car that goes forward and reverse. I mean, that's great, but you probably want to be able to turn. So you know, servo, so it turns. We're going to hook it up so you can be able to turn. Now we're going to need to glue it straw and run this through it. Or what I'm going to do is probably 3D print a part later. But for now, let's just get it connected. So you're going to run this through the hole in the thing for it. It's nice and great. Run it through. Cool. Nice and fancy. Now you could screw it with screws on the bottom here, or just hot glue it if you're lazy like I'm going to do later. So you need 3 wires to control this, right? Because these don't, you need pointy ends, right? So I'm going to take a pointy end wire that's orange, put it in the orange, so orange to orange. Now this is where I get a little bit out of the colors that match. So we got gray for red and purple for brown. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Don't question it. So we got these, right? Oh, I should just use those. Oh well. So we have these. Orange is data. So the orange, which is orange, is data. So data goes to 3 in this case for my code. So if using my code, you want to hook it to pin 3. If you do your own code, it's very important that you have the little squiggly line. Let's see if I can show it. Squiggly line, there we go. For controlling a servo, because you need it to be PWM pin, which that is. You also, easier to use my code or find code online and just copy and pasta. But if you do it yourself, make sure you have the right pin, otherwise you can't do that. So next, purple is brown. Brown is ground, so make sure that's hooked up to the ground board. So we get this power rail again. See all these wonderful ground pins available, all these things on this blue railing that you can't see because I'm not holding it right. But there, all these wonderful things, you just put it in one of those. Any of them do, cool, blue. Now red is power, which is in this case gray. So power. Hey, the servo moved. You heard it probably kick on right there. So I didn't unplug the battery. Oh well. But again, forward and backwards, cool. Now if I flip, I can't flip it. If I just, well, I can kind of flip it. If I just show you what the servo's doing right now, whenever I hit these arrow keys on this board, it will be able to turn. So that's great. That's what we want, right? We want it to be able to turn from hitting these arrow keys. And that's how you know you're controlling the turning now. So if I put, do I have one made? So let me go check real quick. Okay. Don't have one made right now, but I'll show you an example from a previous car. So you can see this is a straw. Inside that straw, they just have the metal axle. It's not glued down, so it can move. Metal axle inside the straw. It can spin freely. But when this servo turns, it turns the direction the car is going to move forward with, right? So as this car is driving, it'll start turning this way. When it's turned that way, it'll start turning, this way when it's turned that way. But you can control the turning, which is great. So that's why the servo's here. So at this point, you have everything you need to basically have this car running. Last part is to glue things down or screw things on. So if you want screws, you can screw 2 screws through these small little servo holes here. Let's put a screw right there and a screw right there, or you can glue it down. Well, whatever works. Once you have that glued on, you want to probably throw on your motor controller. I'd put it near the back end. This thing right here needs air, so don't put this against plastic or another piece. This is stops it from overheating. That's the heat sink of the board. You can throw down the Arduino and power rail just like anywhere. Maybe you want it on the side here. However you want to try to fit it, that works. Once you have all these parts on, nice and fancy, you can glue them down, and then you have your nice little car.